The season 18 finale was full of exciting performances, tons of energy in the room, some fantastic looks, and was a great bookend to what I think was a kind of lackluster season overall. There's a great phrase that I always think of from the classic movie Last Holiday. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Hi, hello everyone, my name is Jer, and do you know when All Stars 11 is gonna premiere? May. I have some Puerto Rican rum and some cherry coke in here already. I love that drink. We're gonna talk about the season 18 finale that I wanna start by saying, I think this is kind of a tricky last episode. No matter where you fall on the spectrum of if you loved this season or were hypercritical of it or somewhere in between, whether you thought this was the best season in years or if you thought this was the most lackluster in years, no matter what your thought process was in that, Jane's elimination was shocking in a way that the shock out contestant usually is not. Sometimes the shock out contestant is someone who has done okay, has a couple of challenge wins and is liked by the fans, but isn't traditionally doing excellent in the competition. They're not like killing it in the way that Jane was with the judges. They were connecting with her every week for like 11 weeks in a row. And the track record don't matter people have been very quiet in this finale. That's all I'm gonna say. And so going into the top 3 with your front runner in the competition being eliminated, you have to navigate everything with a little bit of finesse from a television standpoint, because you don't want your season to be left off as, well, whoever won only got it because Jane wasn't there. That's not the narrative that you want to end your season with, especially with all the controversy that's already going into season 19 with a Trumper being cast. It's tricky to go into the finale with a lot of fans having the mindset that because they eliminated Jane, whoever wins next is just getting the consolation prize, because that's been the sentiment from a lot of folks. And that's hard not to keep optically when your objective frontrunner, the one that the judges loved and gave tons of wins to, did not make it to the top 3 or 4. Whoever's left over inevitably looks like the spare. And that's not to say that none of them deserved it, but the visuals of it all is tricky, right? And so they had to pack this finale with a lot of energy. They had to make it stand out so that fans would maybe be a little shiny object, that it was a look over their moment, and they just see the excitement of this finale and forget that maybe the last couple episodes felt unjust or unfair in the eyes of a lot of fans. From Discord going home, which caused a ruckus online, to Jane going home, which caused a ruckus online, the fans have felt a very specific kind of way about this season, and there's no middle ground. Over the years, I have heard every single opinion about a season airing, but never has one been so polarizing as season 18. A lot of people love the lack of production. They love the lack of direction and story. They feel like they're watching a genuine competition. I get frustrated when they pretend that it is a competition when it is TV first. And the lack of production is still an element of overproduction. The way that they have been hands-off on a lot of stories and not really been super clear has created a sense of murkiness that I have not been able to connect with as a viewer, and it makes it hard for me to review because I don't know if I should latch on to the parts that I like or if I should latch on to the parts that I'm critical of, or a little bit of both. Fans are never going to be happy no matter what happens from Drag Race, but I think this finale did accomplish one thing, and that is being a little bit of a distraction from the last couple episodes. They featured some incredible performances from the top 3. All of the contestants banged out amazing looks. A lot of times in these finales, we'll see queens come out in the most basic finale gowns because they probably just don't want to throw money into something that they're not going to win any money from. Why would you? But everybody did bang it out. They show us the eliminated queens first. Didi Fuego looked regal as hell, almost like a Renaissance painting. Mandy looked ferocious in this little white floral moment with the Pinoy flag as the train. I loved that detail. Briar looked sickening, giving us this mask. I love the color olive. I think it's a hard one to pull off and she did well. Sierra Mist was giving me blue Canary Mary. If you know, you know. Vita Von Teese Star looked opulent, looked regal, wearing this chunky rhinestone gown. It was so gaudy and perfect for what I expect of her pageant drag. Elevated to the 10s high horror. Mia in this midnight blue was such a smart color palette for her. Athena looked very puss. It was like a flowier version of her entrance look, which I appreciated the bookend of both of those. Kenya stepped her puss up even pussier but the back had no cover and you could just see booty pad. I did not understand that lack of attention of detail, and why was nobody a sister and said, panties, bitch. Discord did her signature walk and looked fascinating in tan and red. Jane Don't was giving us some Silence of the Lambs tea I loved. Juicy looked a bit like a flying Pokemon, but I liked the look regardless. Darlene came out wearing every single print that was available at the local fabric store. I lived for her maximalism. Mikey was serving it in gold. It reminded me a lot of her promo look. And then Nene came out in this really cute swirled fabric skirt. I was interested in how it was designed because that's kind of a hard construction. Those layers were really gorge, and similar to other finales, they will perform a final number that was composed by Leland. Darlene is first up, and I was happy to see her perform this little redneck hillbilly number. I was delusionally hoping that she would make it to the finale from the beginning because I loved her mall drag. I loved her bedroom queen drag. And I think that's a perspective that needs to be seen on Drag Race. This idea that drag is for everyone has been very prominent in the last couple years, and I think that Darlene is a great representation of girls that do drag in their own home and do it very well. Look at all of the queens on Twitch who live stream themselves in drag and are fantastic. Her song is called Cooking with Gas. She had great stage presence, and we haven't really seen her perform since the Q-pop girl groups, which were awful. That whole performance was awful. Not from Darlene, just from everybody. I didn't like those songs. This was very cute. It was dumb, which tickles Rue's iPad kid brain. And I think she volleyed well with Rue during their Q&A portion, which is the most important part. The internet is gonna go hard for her hot husband. I think they just got married like 2 weeks ago. That man is the gay standard of beauty. And honestly, it warms my heart to see hot men dating drag queens, because like a decade ago, you would never see a hot dude engaging with someone who does drag in this way. It shows you how far drag has come. Attractive men are no longer afraid to be seen with someone who does cross-dressing or does drag or what have you. Next out is Mikey Meeks, whose whole storyline in this finale was sort of that she was the underdog. But I was not buying what the show was trying to sell me because in my eyes, and I think in a lot of ours, Mikey was not an underdog player. Nene was, if anybody in this group. Darlene was an underdog. But even then, I don't know if I buy that either. In my opinion, Mikey was just as locked in as Jane, but they were more invested in Jane and wanted to, I think, put their eggs in her basket. And I think the show really wanted us to perceive her as like a Jinx Monsoon, someone who was not taken seriously, who the group wasn't featuring and really was underestimated by all of them. But that wasn't her narrative, Gia. In Rate a Queen, her bottom placement was literally only because the Dion dynasty was dominating that voting process. And it was all about the social game, and Mikey did not have enough connections in that room to secure a safe position. That's just a fact. It wasn't that they underestimated her or wanted her out, I think. I think it's that they had other people that they were protecting more. So again, I wasn't buying the story. I live for production trying to push it so hard though. Mikey's song is called Versatile. Let's Go Vegas live show props. I loved how tongue-in-cheek it was. It was super double entendre, which I always love. I'll have you come in 8 times a week. I'll give you a standing O. Cut the camera, that was brilliant. I don't know if they wrote it themselves or if Leland was entirely in charge of it, but this was very well written. It was very funny. Normally, I don't enjoy the look at all the things I can do drag queen songs because those, in my opinion, don't brand you very well. Michelle may have thought it was good branding, but I do not believe that. The Jan archetype exists on Drag Race because it's a trope of girls that think that they can do everything, but the judges don't think they can do any of them well and want them to just lock in on one thing. We've seen this play out a bunch of times on the stage where they think you're doing too much. Narrow it down and focus on the one thing that you're really good at. So this backflip on the jack of all trades type of queen is so inconsistent with all of the critiques they've given to a dozen other queens in the past. That has nothing to do with Mikey, it has everything to do with the judges and picking and choosing when things matter. I did like her number, I liked her performance, I think she deserved her top 2 spot. And last up is Nene Koko, who I think was the objective underdog in this group. Yeah, Darlene had her big storyline, how she wasn't very confident in the beginning, but slowly learned to embrace her inner freak and made Rue laugh by being stupid. And that is all well and good and delightful, but Nene was getting this strange edit all season that she was just far far too sharp in her tongue, which we didn't really see a lot of. We kind of saw the aftermath, but there wasn't a lot of build up to what that looked like realistically for them and for us as viewers. So the story never really stuck with me, and I think a lot of people who were actively paying attention. Plus, she only did really well in the beginning of the competition in the eyes of the judges, and then they got kind of bored with her and focused on other contestants. So her being here in the finale was very like, well, I don't think she's gonna win. But the finale is pitched as, depending on your performance here and how you lip sync, you could win. And so when she started her number, which is called Stimulate, beginning the number with this board meeting and then these high energy dance moves while seated was kind of incredible. The precision of her movement honestly made my mouth drop because it's hard to be stationary and have electricity generating around you, and she did. It was very, very Gaga. Like, I can see her mopping these dance moves immediately. I wouldn't be surprised if they were inspired by Gaga. I love the techno pop of her song. I think it was easily the best of the night, and her voice sounded amazing. When the dancers were playing with those chairs, I scrumped. Her run has been super clinical, and I think this performance was the polar opposite of that. It had freedom while being very calculated and focused, but it was fun, which I think is something that has been missing from a lot of Nene's run. She snagged my attention so fiercely and absolutely earned a top 2 spot. I think undeniably. And I think that her growth storyline of not really having any connections in the room and obviously not making people happy with her presentation was very clear. We just didn't see the build up to it. We saw the aftermath. And coming into a position where she is now very liked by everyone, I think it created a good story for her. Nene's boyfriend was also a knockout. These drag queens with these hot ass boyfriends, it is all way too much. I'm out here looking like a thumb. Where's my pocketbook? I'm out of here. Miley Cyrus is then celebrated with the Giving Us a Lifetime Achievement Award, which I thought was very cute. I'm glad that she got to be celebrated, and they even pulled in, probably last minute, the meme of her at the Hannah Montana reunion doing the glass wave. She looked so freaking hot in this black tailored outfit. Miley's fashion game has been killing it lately. Miss Congeniality, presented by Crystal Envy, who I low-key kind of forgot was Congeniality last year, presents this year's prize to Jane Don't, who was gagged down. I don't think she was expecting it, and I don't think the girls were either, but honestly, I'm glad that she got it because Congeniality really is not the same as what it used to be. It is about who the girls connected with and liked, and if they liked Jane and thought that she deserved some flowers, hell yes, I'm glad that she got something. It flies totally in the face of her storyline all season that her winning and slaying was going to put a target on her back, where instead it created some sympathy for her when she got eliminated. And I'm sorry, but the best part of this entire evening was the makeup consultation with Norvina. When she said, can I say fuck? Was so funny. She's such a hoot. I do wonder how much she had a say in who was going to win the crown, because if her contribution to the finale prize is that she's going to collab with one of these queens, I imagine that she's got a little bit of sway on who's gonna win. Like, I would rather collab with this queen because they're gonna come up with a palette that I would actually sell. She's thinking of it from a business standpoint. And so I do wonder if she had any sway at all. Anya comes out looking absolutely stunning in this jaw-dropping step-down look. The opulence of this massive ball gown. I am still obsessed with this silver on her. The whimsy of those waves with the pearls on it was very reminiscent of the season 17 promo. It was so good to see her looking divalicious down for her step down. She cleared. Rue then makes the difficult decision to cut Darlene Mitchell, which I think was probably the right choice considering the finale performances. And I think it sets up a good storyline for Darlene to come back later on down the road. And the finale lip sync is Every Girl You've Ever Loved by Miley Cyrus. I thought this was a cute finale. It had power, it had presence. Mikey starts kind of low and slow, but I found myself at the beginning shouting, Charlie, do something! Like, she just wasn't doing anything. Nene was locked in from the beginning, which you kind of have to do. It's the finale. Pull out every stunt you have. Open up your book of tricks and do all of them. Make them smart, but do them. This is your only chance to show why you deserve the title. And if we're to believe this farce that the finale lip sync matters, that's what sways the vote on who's gonna win, you have to pull out all the tricks. But the reality is that matters until it doesn't. We have seen time and time again that the finale lip sync is kind of just ceremonial. track record is going to matter, which is why the track record don't matter people are kind of crazy. Time and time again, it has been proven by RuPaul and the judges that they do reward track record. So anytime people say, oh, track record is something that was invented by the fans. No, it was not. This is fully a product of production. It is fully a product of Ru. Because in my honest opinion, and I think in a lot of folks' opinions, Nene objectively won this lip sync. When she pulled out that purse puppet and started using it for the Naomi section, she cleared it. That was a great moment to show she's not just about dancing and ferocity, that she's also silly and goofy and camp and can do all of it. It was a nice callback to her talent show. It was a good encapsulation of her time on the show, that she learned not to take herself too seriously. And I think her lip sync showed an escalation of a journey. It took me on a story with her, where like Mikey wasn't doing much in my opinion. And that's not necessarily a problem when you've connected with the judges, you've connected with Ru. That's really all that matters. And again, the final lip sync is kind of ceremonial. And that's kind of the tricky part of this finale. They eliminated their frontrunner, Jane, and so everybody else pales in comparison. And I think everyone gets judged a little harder, which is not totally fair. If we saw Mikey win against Jane perhaps in a lip sync, maybe that would feel a little more just, because it's like, oh, this is the Alaska to the Jinx. Maybe it would feel more like an underdog story, someone that we didn't expect to win, rather than not necessarily clearing the finale performance, but clearing a lot of the season. Because I do think that Mikey deserved the win for her overall performance. But the show frames this final performance as that's the thing that's gonna kick you over the edge. That Ru picks you from the top 3 to lip sync one last time and prove why you deserve the crown. In this case, just have all 3 of them lip sync. Don't make that final cut at all. I found myself rooting for Nene in the 11th hour because she killed this finale. And I think objectively, Nene won the last episode, but Mikey won, I think, the overall season. That's not to diminish her win at all. I think that she objectively did very well. Again, it's just tricky because of how they navigated this entire season. Anyways, what did y'all think about this finale? What did y'all think about the performances? What did y'all think about the season overall? I was thinking about doing a retrospective of season 18, but I think I'm going to just focus on some other seasons. And keep an eye out, because in a couple of days, I have a very exciting project that I just started. I have an interview with Canada's Drag Race Season 6 winner Van Gogh. I've been so excited to release this project, and I've got a couple of other queens that I'm in the discussions with about future interviews, so I'm excited for what's possible for this channel in the future. Be sure to check out my Patreon if you would like to support this channel in a different way. Thank you all so much for joining me on this journey this season, and I look forward to hearing what your thoughts were about this last episode. I'll see y'all very soon for some more drag adjacent content, and we'll be talking about All Stars 11 very soon. I'll see y'all on the flip. And for their final performances, a la other that is an original song that was composed, and similar to other finales, they will perform a final number that was composed by Leland. That was the take.